Hello, my name is Ethan Chasen. As many of you know, I'm a New York-based business growth coach, and I work with organizations to help them unleash their employees' untapped potential and also build amazing workplace cultures. So if you've heard by now, late last week, Party City announced that they're going out of business, which literally ends a 40-year reign of them operating. And I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to shine a light on this particular going out of business story. Unfortunately, it's far too common nowadays with retailers, but not just that they're going out of business, but the way that their management team chose to handle the decisions that they made from a people perspective. So please note, in this video, I'm not talking about legal or financial considerations, operational decisions. I'm talking about their leadership team's decisions that were made surrounding the closure from an employee perspective. Because after all, that's what we focus on here at the Chasing the Dream YouTube channel. So Party City is going out of business, going back to this past Friday on CNN. Emmy Abbasi announced, just wrote that Party City is closing down all of its stores, ending nearly 40 years in business. So CEO Barry Litwin, I'm going to talk about Barry Litwin and his actions during this announced closure or going out of business. CEO Barry Litwin told corporate employees last Friday in a meeting that CNN actually viewed that Party City is winding down operations immediately and that today would be their last day of employment. Staff were told, check this out, you're not going to receive any severance. And they were told their benefits would end as the company goes out of business. So look, that's a financial consideration. That's a purely monetary decision. But what about from the people perspective? They just cut the crap, corporate America. Your employees made a conscious decision to choose you over other organizations. You made an employee-employer relationship commitment to them. This is how you treat them at the end of the line? Okay, so let's hear what Barry had to say, CEO Barry. This is without question the most difficult message I've ever had to deliver. Really, Barry? I'm sure you had a lovely golden parachute. He said at the meeting, which was held on a video conference call. That's how we roll these days in a virtual workplace environment. Okay, Party City's very best efforts have not been enough to overcome its financial challenges, he added, resulting in the company's collapse. Litwin said the company struggled to contend with inflation. That's right, inflation. Not really myopic, poor visionary strategic planning or leadership, inflation, which sent the company's cost higher and dragged down consumer spending. Inflation. It's really important for you to know that we've done everything possible that we could do to try to avoid this outcome, Barry Litwin, CEO, said. Unfortunately, it's necessary to commence a wind down process immediately. That's a strategic business decision. Okay, but what I'm focusing on is from a people perspective, how you do and how you do not handle going out of business, right? So first of all is have a closure plan. And guess what? A closure plan includes not just operational financial decisions, legal considerations, consulting with outside experts, but it's also a people strategy around the closure. And then part of that is to communicate with transparency. You communicate before, during, and after this closure process. This is painful. This is painful to employees. And I'm going to walk you through some of the actions taken, and you decide for yourself how effectively Party City's management team did in communicating transparently. You focus on your employees first, but obviously then customers and all the stakeholders. And then associated with any kind of business closure is protecting your reputation, right? You maintain professionalism through every step in this process. And as I go through this kind of narrative on this video, please try to objectively assess the degree of professionalism exhibited. There's this notion of you go out of business the same way you go into business, which is gracefully, with a sense of presence and ethical behavior, and having what we call probity or a moral compass. Okay, so having said that, also, last Friday, Some of Party City Stores employees received letters that the company would close down stores on February 28th, at which point store staff would be terminated. So corporate, we're going to terminate you immediately because we don't need corporate anymore because we don't exist or won't exist. And all you stores, as we do like going out of business sales to make pennies on the dollar, you have to stay open until February 28th. We'll give you 2 more months of employment. Although Party City believes these closings are in the best interest of the company, we regret that we have had to take this step and thank you for your valued contributions and service to the company, this letter to employees said. Man, talk about sounding like complete bullshit. You judge for yourself. Clearly, I've given up on being objective on organizations who do this kind of stuff. If you watched any of my 440 videos on my YouTube channel, you know how I feel about corporate America. I was a 20-year survivor myself before I went out on my own. Party City didn't respond to CNN's request for comment. Not a surprise, this is standard operational procedure for companies that don't want to deal with having the repercussions of their behaviors and actions. They just, bow out, exit Dodge. The New Jersey-based company announced Litwin as the new CEO 4 months ago. In a LinkedIn post he wrote when he was hired, he said, the company's main priority is to strengthen our financial health, and there is work ahead of us. Okay. Party City exited bankruptcy a month after his arrival. It had declared bankruptcy in January 2023. The company struggled to pay off its $1.7 billion debt, and it was able to cancel nearly $1 billion in debt by going through a formal bankruptcy process. It also managed to keep most of its more than 800 stores open, although it closed 80 locations between the end of 2022 and August 2024. I mean, this is part and parcel of going out of business and excuse me, going through bankruptcy. So Party City's going out of business. They filed for bankruptcy. I want to just walk you through a little bit more narrative, and then we'll kind of show some video. The once go-to destination for all things celebration is throwing its last bash, according to NPR. After nearly 40 years in business, they announced yesterday, because today is Sunday, December 22nd, that they've begun a wind down process of its retail and wholesale operations as it prepares to permanently close all locations. Going out of business sales and discounts have started. That's why they're keeping their stores open for the next 2 months through February 28th, is to maximize final revenue opportunity that they can apply. They're advertising and everything must go 50%, savings closing the sale. The decision was made following exhaustive efforts by the company to find a path forward that would allow for continued operations in an immensely challenging environment driven by inflationary pressures on cost and consumer spending, among other factors. Said their holding company, Party City Holdco. I mean, these kind of statements, put yourself in the place, not just of maybe a customer who grew up going there to purchase things for parties and celebrations, but imagine from an employee perspective how empty these comments sound. They didn't respond to NPR's request. Again, standard operating procedure, don't talk. It comes 3 months after the one-stop party shop exited bankruptcy with plans to restructure. The company filed bankruptcy back in January 2023, while shouldering nearly, as I said, the $1.7 billion in debt. They said that they were unable to reduce its debt by close to $1 billion. With those efforts, they were able to reduce it by $1 billion, but it wasn't a strong enough effort to remain financially viable. The company has since refiled for bankruptcy in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court. Okay. As with many other retailers, macroeconomic headwinds more recently proved too severe for the company to overcome, they added. They said it had roughly 700 stores and some 12,000 employees. All stores would be shuttered and employees would be terminated, as I said, on February 28th. Goodbye, 12,000 people. Goodbye. Party City was once unmatched in its vast selection of affordable celebration goods. But over the years, competition stacked up with Walmart, Target, Spirit Halloween, and especially online retailers. Look, That's a monumental saying of gross failure of its management team to lead. I mean, you see these economic headwinds, you see increased competition, you see what happens with maybe you weren't planning for a global pandemic, but you kind of have a sense of the direction that your industry is going in, and you adapt. Look, Barnes and Noble went online. Borders didn't. Circuit City, gone. I mean, retailers are constantly struggling with macroeconomic decisions and financial considerations. You know, the next president, Donald Trump, has talked about tariffs and the understanding that what tariffs really do is on pass pay, price increases to the end consumer. We understand, or at least leadership should be able to spot these trends. The news of Party City's demise comes just 2 days after Big Lots, another retailer, discount retailer, announced it will launch going out of business sales at its remaining stores in an effort to stay afloat. This is what you do. This is what you do. It's slash, 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 cut back, reduce costs, reduce costs. This is already chicken with its head cut off. This is how organizations that fail to plan and fail to exercise long-term strategy, the reaction is this. This is what the end result is of poor leadership, or I'd say no leadership. Inflation made the situation worse as consumers have less money to spend on party supplies. No duh. This is not news. These are predictable outcomes. The news of Party City's demise comes just 2 days after Big Lots. As I said, there's other organizations that are struggling. Why am I just picking on Party Central? I'm not just picking on Party Central, but it's their behavior. It's how they're approaching this. So Party Central, Party City CEO Barry Litwin said it was necessary to commence a wind down process immediately for the party supplies retailer. Why suddenly? This has been in the works for several years. So Party City corporate employees will lose their jobs on Friday. So those corporate employees, they're done. The company is reportedly eyeing widespread store closures. They've announced that all of their stores are going to close February 28th, right? Big Lots, Party City's retail footprint in North America included over 700 company-owned and franchise stores. 700 stores, 12,000 employees. They're going out of business. They'll all be unemployed. Okay? So my frustration is how this is handled. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so Party City closing stores, all stores, no severance for employees. So I want to play this video. Again, we're going out of business. We're terminating your employment. We will not pay you any severance. This has nothing to do with you, our employees. This is all about us, outside, external considerations and factors, but how we failed to adequately address them. But guess what? We're punishing you. We're punishing you by not giving you any severance right around the holiday season. Ho, ho, ho. You're terminated. Not for cause, but because we were incapable of leading this organization. I mean, that happened to me constantly for 20 years in corporate America. It's why I became a business growth coach and focus on culture to the extent that I do. But let's watch a little bit more. Remember what I said before, please. When I talked about a effective strategy for communication at the time when your business decides it can no longer operate in a viable fashion and it decides to go through closure, that you need a closure plan. And you may recall I said earlier that part of an effective closure plan is effective communication. And so when your customers are saying they had no idea and your employees, let's put employees above customers. Your employees are blindsided. Think about the impact. Holiday season, they may be the sole wage earner. They may have people who depend on the medical insurance coverage, but it doesn't matter. We're going out of business. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. That's a powerful statement to send to people who committed to your organization. So I want to share one more video. So there you go. There you have it. That's what we're talking about. When I focus on organizations like Party City and others, and they behave in certain ways, I focus the lens from a very clear distinction of you either are doing things that are pro-employee, that you care about your workforce, you're committed to them, and you care about your reputational brand as an organization by attempting to build a world-class culture that's known for operating the right way, or you don't. And it's a very clear, there's not a lot of gray area out here. So some people would say, well, the gray area is an organization that operates, it's supposed to maximize profit. And given external factors that are going out in the marketplace beyond control of the organization, sometimes they can't successfully navigate. I'm not disputing that. I see that every day in my consulting practice. What I am shining a light on through the Chasing the Dream podcast and my YouTube channel is how organizations commit to their employees. This is the 21st century. You can't do this stuff anymore. Why? Because a lot of boomers and matures who are working in these organizations have left and are leaving these organizations. In their place is a new workforce that's being reconstituted with primarily millennial and Gen Z employees. They have fundamentally different values and expectations of the employee-employer relationship. It's a relationship that's more co-equal, that it's a relationship where the organization has to exhibit positive values and behaviors. It has to do good things in its communities. It has to share its employees' values, and it has to treat its employees differently. And if you're not comfortable with that as an organization, I can't say it doesn't matter what I say, and it doesn't matter what you think, because that's what the 21st century transformational workforce demands from your organization. My only question to you is, how committed are you to your employees? Okay, so I'm getting off my soapbox. Please, if you like today's video, like it, give me a thumbs up, give me any comments you think about this, whether you're pro or con. And please, if you support my work, subscribe to the channel. As I've said, there's 2 seasons of Chasing the Dream podcast where I talk to people about building great workplace cultures. There's over 440 videos, and your subscribing supports my efforts to create a really meaningful YouTube channel. Thank you so much.